Maybe during the duration of a game, so Torrin Baker has the reins today.
Brendan Goddard, a very strong-looking Sandringham lineup.
They are with 14 listed players, and saying that Carlton have 11, so we're in for a pretty high standard game of footy with so many experienced AFL kind of listed players.
Top four spot on the line. Carlton hosting Sandringham. Seven's VFL match of the day from Icon Park, and here's Nigel Carmody to get us underway.
Campbell, veteran of over 100 VFL games against Murkov, who's emerging on the Carlton list and growing in stature week by week. So he burns around the footy for Sandringham, who's got off the plane this morning after being the unused medical sub last night in the Saints' withering win over the Crows. Another of those travellers in that game was native South Australian and Jared Leanett, who's got that first touch wide. There's Butler, who's a very handy in, to say the least, for the Zebras this afternoon, with, of course, Achilles soreness taking him out of the AFL game a couple of weeks ago. And he, of course, played his last VFL game here in the 2019 Grand Final, when part of Richmond's VFL Premiership win over Williamstown, of course, and AFL Premiership player with the Tigers, of course, before joining the Saints. And what an addition he's been. Here is Burns early on, headed towards Carey. Oh, that's a really awkward landing from McQueen. Locke will try and pop the handball. He was stripped. That was good from Setterfield, and he'll be rewarded. Some relief for the Blues.
Good to see Dom McQuay up. It was a really nasty landing. Fortunately, he's okay. The Blues switch to the City side. Williamson off to Marchbank, his second game back. Looked outstanding on his return at Frankston a fortnight ago. The Blues coming off the bye. Fogarty to Honey, his first game of the season. Josh Honey, so lots for Carlton fans to look forward to this afternoon. This is Mitch Owens. Clark steps through a little bit of traffic, pops it high. Honey will get there, force a contest. Numbers at the back here for Sandringham. Opportunity for Clark. He delivers inside 50 and hits up Max Heath. So Heath will kick from just inside 50, right on the boundary line. Decides to just set it up to the top of the square. Big fly over the top came from Allison. Aquay links up with Dow. His exit kick misses the target. Heath confronted by Williamson. Little chip kick from Leanett. Setterfield comes in. From the side coming across was Xavier Marr. Locke throws a boot at it. So does Lohman. Third effort ends up in an opening score to Dan Butler. Some pressure on the Carlton defence.
A couple of guys to look forward to today. You mentioned one before, Jason, Caleb Marchbank, who's his second game back, which has been unfortunate. He's such a highly talented and rated player at Carlton. He's been around for a while now, but it's good to see him back after significant knee injuries over the last couple of years.
Last AFL game, round 16, 2019.
Just 50 of a possible 115 games since he's been at Carlton.
Boyd pokes the kick to Trudgeon as Carlton will try and work their way along the wing here. Trudgeon, all the Knights best and fairest last year. Wasn't the best execution of the kick, but good hands early on. That's a strong clutch there from Zane Barzan on his VFL debut. Former AFL Academy member from the Murray Bushrangers. Finds a pocket of space for Glass McCasker. He was pushed. Murkov was at the back and got the 7 feet down to grab that, give it to Trudgeon. Good move from Glass McCasker, but just perhaps hit the wrong side of the footy. Nonetheless, it's in a good spot for the Blues here. Williamson, the dish to Boyd, who's a good user normally from the 50. He pulls the trigger nicely. And that is the Carlton DNA, ball movement-wise, to a T. They came around the boundary and they only brought it back centrally when they were in their attacking part of the ground.
Great to have you with us on 7+. All our State League footy every week. 7 VFL, 7 Sandful, 7 Waffle. Match of the day. Available live and on demand. Exclusive to 7+.
Brendan Goddard, that's the Carlton ball movement pattern that's powering them in both leagues this year.
Well, that first kick you made mention was a long down the line, but that kick back into the corridor to centre forward, which we generally call turnover city, but it was cleaned up well by Williamson. And as you made mention, a great finish from Boyd, who came, I think, through the half-back line. But that's what it does when you get the ball back in the middle of the ground. It brings in your half-backs and a good finish.
Fogarty with the clearance here for the Blues. Williamson steps 1, steps 2, uses a support. A fumble. Sincotta couldn't collect it, but Dow could. Another fumble. This time it's Marr, puts himself under pressure. Lohman wins the football. Owens flips it out. Honey, a clever little tap. Fogarty He keeps it moving forward as well. Coming the other way is Campbell. Brushes a tackle. Flips a handball over the top and opens up an opportunity for Bytel. He's kicked towards half forward. Williamson against Lohman. Williamson gets there first. Has some support. Kemp's run down from behind. Good tackle from Heath. And the ball spills out.
Another one I'm interested to see today, Jace, is Will Setterfield, who I think just for some reason or not, he's a highly skilled player. He hasn't been able to cement his spot in the Carlton team since coming across from GWS. And I know whilst I was at Essendon, I know that Adrian Dodoro was keen on him and has been for a long time. So he's another player that's looking for some form. Played
the first 6 and now finds himself out of the wing rotation at the moment. The likes of Nunes, Cottrell, O'Brien all getting opportunities ahead of him right now. Leanett feeds it back. Burns goes inside 50. Aquay over the top. It's tidied up by Boyd. Kicks to the middle of the ground. Dangerous ball here for the Sandy defence.
And there needs to be a goalkeeper. It's Bytel, who was pummeled in the tackle, but Clark, normally a smooth mover, and that's no exception there. And the ball use can release Leanett centrally, carefully. Burns. In the hands of Bytel. And Williamson's going to gas away and maybe try and reconnect here with Glass McCasker to provide Paddy Dow with a stat. And it's a high kick. Crocker can't get to the drop zone, but Sandringham, the 3 players skittled each other. Huge opportunity here, and the goal's finished off by Philp. Complete indecision amongst the Sandringham defence. And Carlton, for the second occasion, take a toll on a turnover.
Well, the Zebras had the outnumber there at the half-forward line when that long kick came in from Dow, but it was just, I think, a lack of communication, awareness from both players flying for the mark, and Crocker, there was 3 actually, but Crocker then stays on the ground and then had great support by Philp, who is a small forward but a great finish. So I think Zebras there just need to be a little bit smarter, have that awareness around you of who's there and who to call in, and then they'll be able to clean that up, and the ball won't be able to hit the ground and then score another goal from Carlton.
Good start for the Blues. 2 inside 50s, 2 touches inside 50 and 2 goals. Doesn't get more efficient than that. Dow. Boyd had to stand and wait. He's got time to find it. Feeds it back to Dow. He's going to get run down. Tackle came from Reardon. Boyd has support. Swings it wide to Marchbank. Good start this from the Blues. Marchbank kicks towards half forward. Crocker's his target. Seton one-on-one. Highmore there in support. Clark. Quick hands. Back to Seton. Hemmed in on the boundary line. Good pressure again. Darragh Joyce's kick smothered off his boot by Sam Philp. Another on his way back from injuries. Hip injury early last year, then a groin ruined his 21 season. Cracked a rib in the practice game this year. Right now, he's just got to string together some games. He's behind the likes of a Zach Fisher, that sort of player who's ahead of him at AFL level, that sort of midfield forward connector. Just needs games and form to knock on the door.
There's a few in that position at the moment in this Carlton VFL team, as Brendan Goddard touched on. Will Setterfield's in the queue. Lockie Fogarty has played a bit of footy in recent years since coming across from the Cats, and also Tom Williamson, who played the last 8 games of 2021. Paddy Dow, another who's keen to add to his some 60-plus AFL games, as Williamson was in the support tackle there alongside, that's number 72, David Handley. Good footy in recent years in the Geelong Footy League. A couple of games with the Blues at VFL level as Owens gets the kick to get it moving. We've got to do something about Jordan Boyd right now. He's cutting up Sandringham behind the footy. Fumbly was carry after the receive there from McHale, and the Blues will pile in and once again plant their flag in their half.
BJ, number 1 for disposals, Carlton, number 1 for handballs. Handball receives. Their ability to chain by handball already telling.
Yeah, you can tell, particularly off the half-back line, where they want to actually use the outnumber and gain ground through uncontested possession of marks. They're really precise with their kicking. And what Zebras are really good at is more around the contest. So it's a bit of a battle of kind of the opposites today. So that's where Zebras need to be really good at their strength. But if Carlton are able just to minimise their impact around the ball, being Zebras, then they've got the speed and the ball use on the outside.
Shannon kicks to half forward. McHale couldn't complete the mark. Murkov gives it off. Dow from 48. He heads goalward. And the Blues have got the opening 3. Six touches and a goal early for Paddy Dow. And this is a side of his game, BJ, that he's been working on. His finishing and his ability to hit targets. Yeah, well, he's been involved in the last 2 changes, obviously scoring a goal there. But then again, it was the Zebras' mistake on that half-back line. A guy that had the sit and drop the mark and then brings Carlton Smalls into it. When you have 2 guys arguably going for the mark and contesting it, then you're outnumbered on the ground, and Carlton are cleaning up well in that area.
Boyd, hassled by Campbell, but got over the top of him. Jordan Boyd's going to have a game-high 8th possession inside 11 minutes to go with that opening goal. Of course, mid-season rookie draft pick last year out of the minefield of the Footscray VFL program. Here's Marchbank, an easy support run in the form of Radovanovic. He finds Williamson. He'll find Gallagher, the 23rd man, on his VFL debut. He can miss to the left-hand side. So Harvey Gallagher, product of Sandhurst and currently part of the Bendigo Pioneers program, kicked 5 goals in the Young Guns game recently to put his name well and truly in front of AFL recruiters.
Great opportunity for him this afternoon. Dara Joyce thumps it long for Sandy. Coming in from the side there was Shannon at the front. Bytel spins through a tackle. Burns being hunted. Back to Bytel. Good pressure again from the Blues. Mansfield floats a kick to the wing and finds Blake Watson. 5th VFL game for Blake this afternoon. We'll just chip it short to Locke, who presents. Blues have got numbers back. A lot of traffic to navigate as Locke goes inside 50. Almost for Carey, couldn't hang on. Williamson's been busy early. Philp, Kemp. Exit kick towards Cale. Time for a fumble. Off to Josh Cripps. Back to Cale. He's only got one option. It's Barzan, and he hits him. Cale then runs on hard, as you can see. Flashes through the middle of your screen to provide an option up the line.
Sandy was set up really well behind the ball. They had a +1. Hence why Carlton now have to stop. And they can't get that momentum, keep going forward with the ball, but they've made the smart play here and waiting for numbers to reset and get forward.
Handley to Boyd. We're already seeing Boyd's kicking being a factor in this game so far. He's an excellent kick. And in this occasion, it's going to be a Carlton free kick for a push. It's going to Josh Cripps in the marking contest. The 19-year-old brother of Carlton AFL skipper Patrick Cripps. 199 and 92, BJ. He's a different size and shape.
I didn't know he was so big. He's it's a little bit of touch and go there. I think technically a free kick, but protecting their spare ruckman in defence there, Sandy Zebras, and unfortunately it was a free kick against.
Coming off an ACL in 2020, did the pre-season with the Blues. They like him as a young prospect, still pretty raw. And misses that one just to the right-hand side. Booted a couple of goals in the final term a couple of weeks ago when the Blues came storming back to beat Werribee. There's Patrick Cripps watching his brother in action.
And probably the NBA playoffs, given how they're huddled around that phone, I would have thought.
I'm not watching our coverage? Oh, that's crushing.
Well, they are at the game. Of course, they'll catch up with it during the week on 7+. As Handley puts the Blues back into attack. Here's Honey. He's athletic, but he'll sky that kick on this occasion. Cripps looking for the body on Joyce, and Joyce was first to get the fist on the Sharon. Dara Joyce, another of these 14 AFL-listed Saints, once again trying to press their claims. He was the carryover emergency for the Round 7 VFL game a couple of weeks ago. Didn't mean he played against the Northern Bull Ants, and 52, now 53 VFL games, 11 at AFL level, only match this year against Freo back in round 2. They'll clear it on this occasion through the agency of Milne. Carey, again, has been just inches off a mark early on in this contest, and it's not allowing BJ Sandringham to get any sort of meaningful connecting possession so far. 61 touches to 40 in favour of the Blues and 9 marks to 6, Sandy, with very little control to date.
Carlton are definitely playing the game in their half, but they're setting up well behind the ball. When the ball, there's a stoppage or a throw in Carlton's forward 50, the pressure when Sandy win it, causing that long high kick out of defensive 50, which is falling into Carlton's hand, and they're set up behind the ball.
And that's what Owens did just there. Well done, Lohman. Just threw a boot at it to at least get it forward inside 50 and allow Sandringham to come in hard and try to lock it in there. Shannon did well to Aquay. There'll be a downfield free kick as Shannon was dealt with. In fact, it's going to come back to Matt Shannon. Got shoved in the back as he was kicking it. So now a chance for Sandy to lock it in their front half of the ground. Can Carlton navigate their way through the Zebra zone? Shannon goes with the switch to Marchbank. He's got a short option at Sincotta. He marks just inside defensive 50. Can use a support run of Handley. He cuts it inside and finds Setterfield. Second touch for Will. Will be a short pass to Handley. Blues ball movement's been quite precise and very methodical. Seems like they all know the game plan. They're all on the same page. And they're just spreading the Sandringham zone, BJ, really effectively.
And they're reluctant just to kick it long down the line, which is a good way to think, but at certain stages, Zebras are going to have to tighten up and force that long kick because they're just playing that uncontested brand that you highlighted earlier, being a high possession, high kick team, but they don't want to kick the ball long down the line, which I know is easy to say because most teams don't, but it's really evident Carlton's want to actually just hit those short kicks and move the ball by kick mark going forward.
Cripps takes it out of the ruck, gives it to Dow, and Paddy Dow kicks his second. So 7 touches and 2 classy finishes for Paddy Dow.
He's had, as you may mention, he's having outstanding. There's just got to be better accountability there. But I'll go back to Sandy just have to be better defensively. They can't get the ball. Once Carlton actually win the ball, and this started way back in that far pocket there with a free kick given by Dan Butler, but then their ability then just to find loose targets and chip their way to get the ground position on Sandy Zebras, then have that stoppage. They've got to be better defensively and get the ball off Carlton a lot quicker.
Brett Ratton, a Carlton great. He's had better 18 minutes at Icon Park in his time as he's watching his VFL line side be put to the sword here early. Heath couldn't take that mark, and that's good tackling pressure there from Radovanovic again, just to lock things up. Just dominant at the moment, the Blues in uncontested possession and handball receives. They've put an absolute space in Sandringham, and the ball's been out in general play. Murkov put down the throat of Trudgeon, who's got support wide in the form of Kemp, who was the Medi sub on Friday night and unused. Barzan on a hustling lead, hugs the line and keeps the play alive. Radovanovic will try and do similar, just spun through that tackle just too easily on that occasion, and Owens a much needed intercept here for the Zebs to Geary. He's trying to again get valuable game time under his belt to look to make a return to AFL level, the Saints veteran. He's gone to McHale on this occasion, but again, we're in a bear trap at the moment, the Zebras ball movement wise. Milne, Joyce. It hangs for Leanett. Williamson, his opposing 31 took advantage. Cripps, Williamson should cut left. He'll try and do so. Back to Cripps. Lost the handle on it. Sandringham need to lock this up. Paris overran it. Leanett was clean. The kick was clever, and locks it up.
How did they escape that? Williamson didn't want his right boot. They were aware of it. Now they can go the other way and counterpunch Kick goes inside 50, and this is going to be a 2-goal swing, potentially, if Max Heath can go back and slot Sandringham's opening goal.
Well, what looked like a certain goal for Carlton's gone up there, but it was all set up by their ball use coming back through the corridor. It was Leanett there that was actually involved on a number of occasions, but that short kick back in the corridor, then the overlap run, and the press from Carlton then gets exposed out the back because you get the ball in the corridor, they don't know which direction to go or who to protect, and then the overlap comes with Heath ducking out the back, and we'll have a shot, say 25 metres on a slight angle.
19-year-old from Beau Morris. Picked up in the mid-season draft by the Saints last year as a young, developing ruck prospect. He's pushed that one across the face. So it's been a sluggish start from Sandringham. We mentioned 3 wins and a draw from their last 4 starts, so they've entered in great form, but coming off the bye, the Blues have hit the ground running, and Sandy have just been slightly off the pace, and Carlton have certainly made them pay. Sincotta thumps it long to a 3-on-2. Numbers with Sandringham. Lean at the fist from behind. Awkward one for Setterfield. He then comes in and lays the tackle on Mansfield and makes it stick.
Then Mansfield. Beach, what can you tell us about him?
Benny, well, I've got a lot of connection to Sandy Zebras, other than being affiliated to St Kilda for so many years. And there's Jaron Geary out there, but Guy Locke, there's Benny Mansfield and Anthony Seton, the captain of Sandy, are both, all 3 of them, sorry, are all St Kevin's listed players. Benny's actually played a number of games this year, missed a couple through injury, but making his debut for the Zebras today. So I've got eyes in, you know, for other reasons other than the connection with St Kilda Sandy Zebras, but I've got eyes here for other reasons.
Quay to Marchbank, and the Blues should get out of this here. Oh, Kemp's handball just floated. Owens chopped off. Marchbank spun. Quay tackled by Lohman. There was no knuckle on it either. But the tackle was elected to have lingered, so Carlton's first ever NGA signing. Did a lot of work under today's coach, Torrin Baker, as part of the Carlton Academy setup, alongside some footy with the Northern Knights. Will relieve the pressure here. Not the 15 for Marchbank. They're just sharing it between the 2 of them at the moment. Cuts a slalom path back to Kemp, and now it's the 3 of them sharing it. Kemp with some speed to get around the bigger man in Heath. Fly will come from Barzan. Leanett was next in the queue. Murkoff, clever tap in board. Marr pops the handball looking for Kale. It got through him. McHale, Watson, Geary release, slid. And Shannon will win the day for the Blues.
And will drive it inside 50, but reading it nicely off the boot was Tyson Milne, a step ahead of Crocker. Ben Crocker yet to have a touch. The league leading goal scorer. Hasn't been able to cash in on Carlton's early dominance. Joyce flips a handball over to Burns. Burns will go short. And finds Mitch Reardon just inside the boundary line. So a better 5 minutes here from Sandringham. They've at least stabilised the situation after Carlton got away to a flyer. Reardon scurries away, kicks towards half forward. Coming across to cut it off was Mark, couldn't complete the mark. Burns to Locke. High kick inside 50. Geary's got good position. Slapped to the front by Trudgeon, who does well, wins that one-on-one, but then turns it over straight to Leanett. He'll drive it long. He's got Butler at the top of the square. A 2-on-2. Butler had the sit, read it beautifully. It can go back and kick Sandringham's first.
Didn't look likely there when the ball was in the air, and 2 Carlton players. I think it was Marchbank there that had probably the best sit of the 2. So both elected to actually try and mark the ball, which I don't think the defence... It was Quay?
Yeah, Quay
tried to spoil it, but it was set up well from the pressure inside forward 50. The rush kick came out. Leanett was actually set up really well behind the ball, but looked like just trying to wrestle the momentum back here, the Zebras.
And Butler goes and kicks the opening goal for Sandringham. Margin back to 18 points.
The knee of Dan Butler.
Just enough.
Just to get that little bit of separation on Marchbank in flight, proving pivotal.
8 AFL games this season for Dan Butler, averaging 10 touches and kicked 5-3. Finds himself back in the VFL this afternoon, but an opening quarter goal.
It was just enough to get the ball. Yeah, they'll be disappointed that they both missed it. But so just the last couple of minutes for the Sandy Zebras looks to be wrestling that momentum back.
Well, since the Dow goal, it's 5 inside 50s to 2. Sandringham have had more of the ball for pretty much the only period of the game to date. So margin back to 18. Murkoff got a knee into Campbell. Clark held and tackled by Setterfield, and he knew his fate. The umpire, though, wasn't happy with what Clark put on it. So Setterfield to Boyd. They need to put a lasso around him at quarter time. Gallagher almost. Seton did well in the contest. It's bobbling around. Dangerous ball here for the Zebras to defend as Crocker stopped 5 metres from the goal in a strong tackle by Highmore. So Zebras defenders will try and number off here. Glass McCasker almost over his head. It would have been a miracle given the ball travelled at chest height through the behinds. So well-travelled Jesse Glass McCasker gets himself on the score sheet.
Spent a few years on the Carlton list from 2016 to 18. Then off to Swan District, then last season with Footscray, and now back to Carlton. Lean under some pressure from Phil. Uses the support of Dara Joyce. Joyce goes towards the back flank and finds Highmore. So again, the Blues push up hard in their defensive zone, and Highmore will kick it long to the wing. It's a 3-on-2 in the air. Aquay brings it to ground. Clark feeds a handball for Locke to run onto. He's then run down by Marr. It spills to Burns. Tackle comes in from Shannon. And the Blues manage to hold it up.
All the dominance Carlton had, if Zebras just get one here just leading into the quarter-time break, it'll be a good result for them, because Carlton have absolutely dominated this quarter and had the ball in their forward half for the majority of the game.
Dow just found his boot. Reardon gets it out to Connolly to half forward. Marchbank couldn't complete it. Chance at the back here for Sandringham. Coming in on Butler and beating him to the football was Boyd. So Butler lays the tackle. We have another stoppage. So a 19-point lead to the Blues as we approach the 27-minute mark of the opening term on 7 VFL's Match of the Day.
Paddy Dow with 2 goals for the Blues if you're just joining us. Campbell took it from the ruck. Like the game of trudgeon so far in defence. Tumbling kick, cleverly trapped by Cale. And it'll slide its way out to Dow, who again's worked from the original stoppage to get on the end of this kick. It was a good one at that towards Crocker, who stayed afloat on Joyce, but the ball just beats Ben Crocker out over the line. We'll have a feature on Ben Crocker as part of our halftime today. 58th VFL game today, and he's just 3 short of 100 goals at the level to go alongside his 25 he kicked in 33 games with the Pies and the Crows at AFL level. Having another superb season. 29 last year to win the Blues, best and fairest and being the team of the year. He's kicked 19, 13 in 7 matches to date. Burns was stripped. Clever toe from Setterfield, but Leanett playing the Boyd role across half-back so far for the Blues.
Leanett's been a good contributor since coming across from Port Adelaide. I think, was he delisted from Port Adelaide?
SSP in March, just before the season.
There you go.
So the litany of injuries that the Saints had right on the eve of the season, like Nick Caulfield opening up an opportunity for him, and he has taken it.
Yep, 6 AFL games for him so far this season. 10 touches in the opening term here for Leanett. This is with Cale. He goes looking for Crocker. Clears that contest. Joyce throws his left boot at it. It'll go high in the air. Flying in was Owens, almost completed it. Dow at ground level, spun in the tackle, got it off to Handley. He heads goalward, it floats just across the face. And coming across is Geary to take the defensive grab in the goal square. Run comes from Connolly. They want to get it and go. Haven't had many opportunities to do that this afternoon. This one might work for them. Locke marks in front of Aquay. Then brings it inboard. Campbell wants to go, but not much forward of the football to go to, so retreats to Highmore, and now Carlton have the zone set up. Joyce, the run from behind, launches it long inside 50, standing underneath it, and Boyd, what a quarter he's playing. 11th touch for Jordan Boyd.
Boyd's been impressive, but Sandy are going to be disappointed with that when they look at it, and there's 3 senior zebras surrounding Boyd, and he's arguably the smallest of the 3, and they weren't able, 1, to obviously mark it, but then 2, just to bring it to ground to give their smalls and their teammates just a chance to lock it in and potentially score.
And a 50-metre penalty takes Brodie Kemp to the back edge of the square. So time for the Blues. It's 29.5 minutes. Dow can go up the middle. Run from behind. And the launch comes from Sincotta. Good thump away there by Highmore towards the boundary, and Burns will be happy to run it over given it was a 2-on-1. So the Blues to set up as we approach the 30-minute mark of the opening term. They lead by 19 points.
Carlton players fresh off their Friday night win over the Swans. Watching on, the VFL team having an equally impressive season, 5-2. 4th on the ladder coming into today. Handley sandwiched by both Owens and Bytel. David Handley played under Daniel O'Keefe at the Geelong Falcons and in a premiership back in 2017. Good to see him having a crack at state league level. Dow to Handley to Cripps. Kept the hands free. Setterfield needs to work in close confines, and Burns' pressure was able to see him out. An athletic spoil from Dara Joyce closes our opening quarter here at Icon Park. The Blues 4-3, the Zebras 1-2.
As we check out our top 5 plays from round 8.
They're a lot cleaner with the ball. We talked about their intent to play almost a keep things off con style, to get it in the launch pad, which is that 50-70 metre mark, and then they're able to get dangerous, better looks deeper inside 50.
Great point you make. They're +1 in inside 50, but the possessions inside 50, 19-8 in favour of Carlton in that opening term. They lead by 19 points as we start the second. Bytel off to Burns, looks around, has a bit of space, goes for a run and delivers out to the wing and finds Allison. Sincotta overcommitted. Allison can run away, deliver inside 50. Kemp on the half volley, got there to smother it. At ground level, Marr puts a tackle on Bytel. Butler comes in to apply some pressure. Lohman gets the football, one arm grab by Sincotta in the perfect tackle. And the umpire calls for it.
That's almost a good example there by Allison. He had the opportunity, I think he had lock deep in the square. It needed to be an advantage kick, but he went more of that shallow entry, which could have bounced back, but that's been a bit of a trend so far for Sandy.
Dow wrapped up as we head boundary side and welcome in Ned Cale. Ned, thanks so much for your time. What a fantastic start. What was the main message there from Torren at quarter time?
Yeah, well, before the game we just spoke about our pressure and trying to maintain that for the 4 quarters, and yeah, just then we spoke about it, and it's really it's going well. It's up, and yeah, causing the turnovers, and yeah, really happy with that so far.
Ned, it's easy when you're winning, but how have you found the change in style from what you're under at Essendon to what you're playing here in the Carlton VFL team?
Oh yeah, it's all like kind of similar, I guess. At the end of the day, it's just a game of footy. So yeah, you get your messages and you're told what to do before the game, and once you're on the field, you just play your own game and your own way. And yeah, I think that's just the best way to do it.
Well, Ned, a promising start. Thanks very much for your time. We'll let you get back into it.
All good, no stress. Thanks, guys.
Josh Honey with a big tackle, got the turnover for the Blues, who've now got it on the wing. Marchbank, a slight fumble. Not the ideal handball for Trudgeon, but he gets past Casey, delivers it to Shannon. Radovanovic. Sincotta off to Williamson through the middle of the ground. Just overcooked the kick. And now the turnover back the other way through Highmore.
Locke, who's often been the connector for Sandringham so far, but not helped by the kick. Williamson shoveled the hand pass, and Radovanovic hits up Trudgeon. Kick off a step was poor, but it might still work. Highmore slipped at a crucial stage. Fogarty outnumbered. Clean was Clark to Geary, and now Bytel. Options are almost a kick away from him, so he needs to run with no player on the mark to try and meet Heath, who takes the front spot on Marchbank, but the experienced Caleb Marchbank can equalise things.
Our second quarter action thanks to Maxxis Tyres. Blues leading it by 19 points. Tom Campbell to go in the ruck against Murkov. Campbell at the front. Burns did well. Weaved away from Fogarty. Spears towards Lohman and finds him at 52. He's got a couple of one-on-ones deep. He's got Kemp isolated in the goal square against Allison. Heads in the Heath direction, so Kemp has to go, and Heath can take the grab So Brody Kemp there caught betwixt and between, Brennan, with a couple to man up on, and in the end Heath took the grab.
Yeah, it was all set up by Burns' kick, just the slight little dicer, inside-out kick, and then they were able to get that deeper one, but had great isolation, as you made mention, a couple of tools there, which as a defender is the worst spot to be in when you're stuck deep in the forward line. You actually got isolation, a bit of space around you, and a good decision, I think it was by Lohman then just to roll and get it into an advantage side to Heath.
Can Heath finish? Good start to the second term for the Zebras. Margin back to just 13 points. Great to have you with us on 7+. Live streaming every 7 VFL match of the game each Sunday. Plus you can check out our 7 Sandful and 7 Waffle matches of the day as well. Live on the weekends and on demand at your own convenience anytime you like during the week. Exclusive to 7+.
You see the kick from Lohman there. It would have been easy for him. A lot of guys get the ball in that position and they look for the perfect bit of play. So it was good for him just to go reasonably quickly. He could have waiting for that perfect lead, but he takes that small advantage that Sandy Zebras had, and Heath had a little bit of space around him.
Heath's goal, that replay, of course, with thanks to Max's tyre. So margin 13 points, 4 minutes in to the second here at Icon Park, and games evened up and perhaps even been in Sandringham's favour, at least on the scoreboard, since Dow's second put them 25 points up. Burns has been really important here for the Zebras as Geary gets some ball on the spread here and can hit up Locke, who went for the chest. He's got a dish option in Carey. Off to the clever Butler for his second. The Zebras, the miss to the right. Dan Butler has 1-2 on the afternoon. And the sort of goal that we see him traditionally kick. It's good pressure from Allison. It'd almost be a professional foul to stop Will Setterfield in his tracks. Will Setterfield set to have his 8th possession of the contest so far, the former Giant. Careful for Marchbank. And his second match back from a lengthy hiatus, the latest of those injuries, of course, that ACL last year. Glass McCasker outpointed, and Clark with the mark.
And Clark in his second game back after AC surgery in February. Kick inside 50s, Heath again, starting to cause some trouble.
Max Heath, did you say a local Beau Morris boy?
Correct.
Yeah, so probably still living at home. It's a good thing to be, but he's looked impressive today. He's involved in a number of contests midway and early in that first term, but he's been pretty impressive in the last 2 contests.
Coming along nicely, hasn't missed a lot of footy. Played 1 NAB game in 2019, then of course none in 2020 due to COVID. Was picked up by the Saints midway through last year as a long-term prospect, and you can see the potential. Chance to kick his second for the term. 45 out. Will it get there? Williamson flies over the top, doesn't make contact, and the Zebras draw closer. So thanks to Max's tyres, let's take another look. Max Heath starting to have an influence.
We'll talk about a contested mark, albeit on a smaller opponent, but he's having influence. He moves really well the ball. I'm assuming they've probably got sights set on more of a forward slash at this point with Campbell probably being the #1 ruckman at Sandy, but he's made an impression up forward, and Sandy Zebras started this second quarter. Carlton yet to have an inside 50, so the dominance is all with Sandy Zebras.
Fogarty will provide them one. Joyce couldn't get a fist on that ball. Gallagher could for the Blues. Joyce goes again, went low, got a knee to the side there from Handley as Crocker goes looking for it. It was interesting to note in the audio we heard from Torrin Baker at quarter time acknowledging Ben Crocker for a contest. Ben Crocker went statless in the opening quarter. It's not often we're hearing a player who hasn't trouble the stat sheet getting acknowledgement with the team in the position they have been. Philp, already a goal kicker, missed Fogarty, found Williamson, goes the fend off on a couple, back to Handley. He'll float the snap. It should have enough distance. It does. The Blues get a crucial answer back. David Handley, who was best and fairest for the Geelong West Giants in the GFL last year, kicks his third VFL goal in match 7 to go alongside one major he's kicked this season, which came against the Roos back in round 6.
We just talked about not having the inside 50 and they get there first, and talk about efficiency. So it's 1 from 1 in this quarter. But there's a little bit, I think, just a bit of ball hunting from the Sandy Zebras. They got caught around the ball and he was just sitting off the back, reading it well, not getting sucked into the contest. And it was a really good finish around his body from about 35 out in the side angle.
Classy finish from David Handley. The Blues back out to a 12-point lead, but Sandringham challenging hard. That bounce will be recalled. Blues with the opening 4 goals of the game. The next 3 going to Sandringham. And then Carlton with the last through Handley. Glass McCasker immediately tackled by Campbell.
I made mention of a couple of Carlton players we should be looking forward to today, but one obviously interesting for Sandy Zebras is Hunter Clark, and it's just his transition then back into the team. You made mention his second game back from an AC shoulder injury, so his fitness should be thereabouts, because the good thing about shoulders and hands and arms is he can run. So looking for Hunter Clark to find some form over the next couple.
Williamson down, Clark, Owens, lean it. Williamson still down behind the play. Ball inside 50. Setterfield, high kick towards the wing. Cripps will come out to meet it. Over the top of Geary, numbers at the back. Highmore, Burns, Geary, under pressure from Setterfield. Owens goes hard and gets taken down by Shannon. And Tom Williamson still down behind the play, as you can see. Let's have another look. Comes through, got kicked. Well, ball where you really don't want it. Setterfield. Butler. And out. No holding the ball gags there. 12 points the margin, as Tom Williamson will come off to compose himself.
We know the severity of that, actually, the outcome.
Can be really bad, can't
really
it?
Bad.
You can actually have a split. No, you can have a split testicle and be in enormous trouble.
Height of the team from the front bar as this ball works its way to the wing. Philp, Clark hit McHale in the face, but he could compose himself and then sky that ball forward. Heath's going to sit under the pack here. It works its way back. Shannon off the ground cleverly. Butler. Let the Blues defence deal with it. Radovanovic tried to rugby it forward. Shannon, Boyd in the long sleeves was held, and the hold was too long. Dan Butler's got his hand clasping his eyes.
If you don't want to see it, look away now.
Little mistakes for Dan Butler, but you feel like he's well and truly got the tempo and cadence of this game to wreak some havoc. Blues on transition here. Marchbank wide will miss Cale.
Coming up later this afternoon, it's Hawthorn and Brisbane from Launceston. Coming up immediately after this game. Which at the moment the Blues lead by 12 points. As we approach the 12-minute mark of the second term on 7 VFL's match of the day. Glass McCasker against Heath. Here is Hunter Clark, manages to find his way through some traffic. Delivers it inside 50. Radovanovic had a difficult half volley. Casey off to Locke. Bends it goalward. Opportunity at the front for Allison. Turns, sells the dummy on a quay and finishes.
We'll talk about buying whatever they're selling there, Jace. That's Quay absolutely bought it. So it was a good
the hook was well and truly in the mouth, wasn't it?
It was just a kick by Locke just to get it forward. There was isolation there, but we just see in the replay he absolutely bought it. I'm tipping that's going to be shown during the week from the Carlton lads. But great stuff and good initiative from Allison just to stay composed, and knew that probably if he did kick it, it probably would have been smothered. But good finish.
That's better from Ratz's point of view, and Brendan Lade, to his right, pretty happy with the vantage point they had on the Allison goal. So 4 of the last 5 to Sandringham. Dow, Fogarty having a bit of an influence in starting to go into the centre bounce. Highmore was able to outpoint Barzan and take the intercept, but a horrible kick almost came off the tongue of his boot. Clark's another one who's just starting to zoom into the game, you feel. He's kicked wide and volleyballed back cleverly by Ryan Burns. Handball floated though from Reid, and Milne did well to get back to his feet around Cripps and then torpedo it forward. Good contest from Lohmann and will be rewarded, and a knock to Radovanovic that's worthy of winning a Logie, but the umpires are hot on this at the moment. Lohmann, a great contest. Radovanovic coming in from the side to impact him, and then here's the free kick. And Radovanovic might get a call from the producers of home and away.
Radovanovic kicks towards Philp, punched away by Milne. Locke takes Cale down, arm slipped high in the tackle. Now, some sort of arm bar. Had him locked up. I'll see myself out. Cale kicks to half forward. Handley the crumb, but Bytel sharked it. Watson, lovely dummy from Clark. Kicks to half forward. Quay tries to get back, does really well. Forced a contest against Casey. Got to go again. Lohmann slaps it forward. Locke can run onto it at 50. Just wouldn't quite sit for him. Defence arrives for the Blues. They come piling in over the top of Allison. Umpire says, holding the football. Scrambling defence from Carlton.
So Sin Cotter, who spent time on the Geelong VFL list, again will try and somehow find a path for the Blues into attack. Murkov was hit, free kick, Philp. Oh, they are off to the races here. Splitting forward Cale on the 50, the overlap option, and a comfortable mark in the end for Honey on his return. And a bit of what we saw in the opening quarter from Carlton, where they were so savage on Sandringham on turnover. That occasion it was...
Well, look there. Sandy looked like to be in a pretty good space here when that contest was here with Murkov. You called it. And then I think it was young Watson who actually just got caught ball watching, which allowed Ned Cahill to get that space out the back.
Those multiple free kicks might add up to a Carlton goal here for Honey. He's booted it. Missed it to the left-hand side. Josh Honey, who's on return, had knee issues and ITB surgery back in February. Loved what we saw from him at VFL level last year.
He'll be on managed minutes, probably to about three-quarter time or thereabouts, as Leanett goes short and finds Peris at half-back. Highmore back to Peris. That's the shortest of short kicks. And the Blues force the turnover. Philp's handball wasn't great. Barzan tries to keep it moving forward. Owens came flashing through. Honey there as well, couldn't control it. Philp lays a tackle. Owens, Connolly. Bytel's got to be quick. Back to Owens. Pressure will come from Marr. It affected the kick. Dow can't quite control it. Gets it to Trudgeon. Peris. Owens. Now Bytel. Sandringham win the scrap. They can deliver towards half forward. Williamson trying to get back there. It's a 2-on-2. Quay comes across, loses his feet. Butler keeps his, runs to 52, brings it inboard. They've got numbers. Well done from the Carlton defence. It was a 2-on-1 at ground level. Locke, Radovanovic. Boyd drops it. Lohmann finds it, gives it off to McHale, and he misses. Frenetic passage of play, and Sandy probably could have done better.
I think it was just their skills even here off the half-back line. It was young Peris, I think, that made a couple of errors, but you love his dash and his dare to get it back through the corridor and then just their inability to hit targets going forward. There was Burns, and then Butler had a chance at going inside 50, but they kind of, yeah, you could say you easily butchered that when they should have got a proper shot on goal.
So Kale Marks, it's been 9 inside 50s to 4, 3-2 to 1-1 this quarter, and Kale not well there, grimacing and hobbling as well. Tried to get it through Geary, who was having none of it, and he's got a plethora of options inboard. Leanit's one of them. He'll thrash it into the centre circle. Seton can draw Honey to Milne on his left side. Lohman, Akui, they're all going to fly. Philp was the clean-up man. Kale, not a good kick. Watson, a super ground ball. Then the spin. Geary for a rare goal in Sandy colours. Torpedoes it through for a point. So Jaron Geary adds another behind to the Sandy tally in this quarter, but they are surging.
We haven't talked about Tyson Milne too, so son of Stephen. So I actually haven't seen Tyson play. I knew him as a youngster. Time flies. You made mention it. Makes you feel old when you used to remember Tyson being about 7 or 8, running around.
Well, he's yappy like his dad, just at the other end of the ground. He's an antagonist in the
weird,
defensive 50.
I'd like to get Stephen's thoughts on that and how he turned into a defender.
Because probably when they're in the park having a kick, Stephen said, no, I'm always going to be the forward. You can man me up. So 10 inside 50s to 4 in this quarter. It's been all Sandringham. Haven't quite taken full toll. It's 5-4 to 4-5. The Blues by 5 points as we head towards time on. Second term of 7 VFL's match of the day. Murkov against Heath. Murkov, lovely tap down to Trudgeon. Philp, a beautiful step. Got past Geary, then delivered it off to Boyd. Good fluid football away from the stoppage from the Blues. Kick inside 50 came from Marr, and Crocker gets on the end of it. His first touch of the afternoon, the league leading goal scorer. And as we hit the time on mark in the second term, can Ben Crocker go back from long range and extend the Blues lead?
It's a good learning experience. It was Tyson Milne that was on him, but he spent a little bit of time on him. But St Kilda, I think, listed players are spending a bit of time on Crocker, as you may mention, the leading goal kick in the VFL. So coming up for his first touch. So Sandy Zebras have done a good job on him thus far.
Walks right to 50, close to the player on the mark. Good looking kick. That's a beautiful finish. Oh, when chances are hard to come by, you've got to take them. And Ben Crocker, a lovely goal from 50 right on the boundary, and the margin's back out to 11 points. They've been efficient once again, BJ. Carlton inside 50s to goals this season, ranked 4 in the comp, and today they've gone inside 18 times for 6 goals 4.
We had limited opportunities this quarter, but it was good ball movement from a stoppage. It was on Sandy Zebra's half-forward line, and good plays. You don't have to give them much of an opportunity, and Crocker there just took... Well, it was a really tough shot, tucked in the boundary from about 45 out, but great finish.
Of course, that replay, thanks, of course, to Max's tyres as Dow and Fogarty combined again. Murkov popped the handball into traffic. Philp kept running. Squeezes the kick again towards Crocker. It might beat them all. A little hand on it from Milne and support from Joyce to clear it. Jaron Geary in the wars in the VFL this season, was concussed, of course, in the match against Richmond earlier in the season up here. So margin at 12 as Leanit trots clear of the goal square. Campbell. Aerial presence for the Zebras. Carey and Heath are his options as the longest kicks down the line. That's where it's going. Heath squeezed against 3 Blues. Williamson trying to get free of Reardon. Aquay. Kemp turned into the traffic. Marchbank was out of play as he received that ball, and eventually that's where it goes. Caleb Marchbank trots away. 48 AFL games we mentioned, stuck on it. Did the ACL in April last year in practice match against Box Hill. Of course, robbed the Blues at all levels of a valuable defender. What a luxury he might be to bring back into Carlton's AFL team and support their already great defence in the second half of the season. Williamson's handball creates a scrimmage here. It's Paris cleverly flicked back. Leanit Can step Sincotta and boot deep over the head of Williamson. How's the bounce? Again, another Sandringham blemish.
Dangerous kick in, finds Dow, coming up for his 17th touch. But Dow, Williamson, Boyd also dominant in the first term. Haven't been given the same latitude, same amount of football in the second. This is Marchbank. He's coming up for his 13th possession. It's a long kick. Cripps will fly from the back. Couldn't quite bring it down. Kale front and centre, nice crumb. Then lays the tackle on Geary.
Just 13 touches between Dow, Williamson and Boyd. Boyd just the 2 in the quarters, the really significant shutdown.
Yeah, particularly given the amount of ball that Sandringham have had at that end of the ground. He was really off the chain in the first quarter. Kale did well through traffic. Dow's handball again, a little speculative inside. Fogarty's kick into a dangerous position. Paris put the head down, won the football. Trying to run away was Reardon. Well done, Boyd. Put enough pressure on. Opens the door. Sincotta had to gather it. Now taken down. Lohman rolls him. Umpire said the arm slipped high. And again, the Blues will be let off. Good contest there from Sincotta, and then Lohman just sliding in with the arm over the shoulder. Sincotta's had some work to do in this second quarter. Goes towards Williamson. Clears that contest and bounces out in front of Jesse Glass-McCasker. There's Tom Williamson. 15th touch. Great to see him back out there after copping a low shot early in the term, as we have a look at our around the ground scores in round 9 of VFL action.
Huge result for Werribee. Michael Barlow's team getting back on the winners list. Setterfield to Boyd. As mentioned, a quieter second quarter after a red-hot start in the first. Puts that out on the full, so as we work our way through 25 minutes of the second quarter here, it's 4th and 6th, battle it out. Round 9 of the Smithies VFL. Geary. Heath again's going to be part of the play in flight. It splits over, and there's a bit of frustration on Jake Lohman, who's been on the wrong side of a couple of free kicks in the quarter today.
You mentioned that win for Werribee over GWS. That's a huge win for the Bees.
Yeah, massive. Massive. They've had a hard start to the season so far, so they'll be wrapped with that victory, particularly away from home. Clearing ball, Glass-McCasker, lean it almost on the third bite, slid over the top of it in the end, and it'll be a neutral result. Page, you've been taken with Jared Leanet's game, rightly so. 16 possessions as well as 4 score involvements and 4 inside 50s from behind. Geary, low down, ball shuffles its way through Sincotta. Owens on the snap, and another Sandringham miss. Well, based on volume and the behinds in this quarter, they should be in front.
11 scoring shots apiece. The Blues lead by 10 points as we hit the 26-minute mark. Not a great kick from Boyd, but Kemp's got a little bit of time to assess his options. Goes towards Dow, and over the shoulder against Highmore. Paddy Dow up to his 19th possession. Most of them coming in the back half in this term. Not in dangerous positions where he can be creative, as he was in the first when he kicked a couple of goals. Long towards the wing, Trudgeon. Crocker both there. It spills off the contest and out for a throw-in. So the game delicately poised. Carlton with the first 4 goals. Sandringham since then have added 4 goals to 2. Glass-McCasker to go in the ruck on a perfect day in Melbourne. Not a breath of wind, sunshine, ideal conditions for football. Campbell works to the front. Glass-McCasker takes him down. Ball spills out. Handley. Fogarty. Into the path of Setterfield. He's got pressure coming from behind from Burns. Drew a crowd. Popped it over the top. Smothered off the boot of Gallagher. Geary brings it inboard. Pressure comes. Honey lays the tackle. In over the top of Connolly. Takes him down. Umpire said no prior opportunity and a chance for Carlton to set up inside 50.
Just the two probably the best players on the ground at the minute actually playing on each of the Dow's now resting forward, which is important for his part because Carlton being such a strong midfield at the minute at AFL level, that Dow's then got to add another string to his bow, and I think that his ability then to have the ability to go forward and impact the game is really important for his development and then his potential to play more senior football.
He almost motored his way through the contest there, so opportunity here for the Blues late in the quarter, and see Dow lurking as he did in that previous stoppage to try and put a block on and get himself free in the process. Instead, it's Kale, and he knew it was a miss as soon as he kicked it.
Nice crumb from Ned Kale. Just couldn't hit the right part of his boot. Milne. Nice release kick to Highmore. Aquay will get there. Gets it to ground. Wins the football and a turnover comes. Setterfield, Trudgeon, Fogarty. Can he hit a target? He can. It's Cripps. And Josh Cripps has it 70 metres from goal. Floats a handball over the top. Fogarty back to Boyd. Sells the dummy on Lohman and then spears it inside 50 to Dow. Beautiful kick again from Jordan Boyd. And Dow, good hands, can go back. And Brendan, as you mentioned, these are important kicks in his career to go back and do damage when he goes forward.
It is, and he was involved in that play on the far side about 3 minutes early, almost as a tall forward, leading up with the footy. He got a free kick for it, but Boyd set that up with, again, selling candy. There's a lot of guys that are investing a lot in what people are selling today, and then
crypto-like.
Dow with a good lead.
And from 30 out, he hits the post. Has been one of the knocks on Paddy Dow. Kicking, and I think about 46% efficiency this year. A lot of those are under pressure because he is an inside mid, but to get to the next level, that's probably part of his development. Again, great forward pressure from the Blues, holds it in. Well done there by Gallagher. Carlton will get another opportunity as we approach the 30-minute mark. So it's been a better 5 minutes here from the Blues after Sandringham controlled much of the quarter. Carlton now feel like they've managed to get back on top. Gallagher went looking for it, but Clark beat him to the football. Bytel out towards Mansfield. Will get through to the back for Owens. He's got no support, but that tackle high from Marchbank will at least hold him up from a Carlton perspective, only momentarily. Bytel comes past. Calls for support, but misses Mansfield. Here is Ben Mansfield, 19-year-old, playing his local footy under Brendan Goddard at St Kevin's.
That's the tough thing for guys at VFL level to come to VFL level, particularly when they play for an AFL affiliated team or standalone team. Even that when they come in, they then don't play their natural position, which for Benny, even Goyd Lock, the guys that I know, Anthony Seton, that they're generally midfielders, and now they're playing half back in Seton. Goyd's playing as a forward, as is Benny now as a half forward, so it's actually quite difficult for them to cement their spot in a team and then get that true development and see how good they could really be playing in their preferred position.
It's a great point you make. You're playing a different role and a different game plan with different personnel around you. It's quite a challenge. Casey takes Brody Kemp down.
But it's also great, obviously, for Benny making his debut today, but to see the level that they're at now, again, playing Carlton standalone, Carlton team, Sandy Zebras again affiliated, but see the quality of players that are playing today, and for him to get a taste of it, it's really important for his development.
Butler off to Burns, bounces it forward. In fact, doesn't bounce because Goylock gets there first and takes the grab. And we'll go back to the top of the goal square and reduce this margin back to 5 points. He's kicked 6-1 for the season. The vice-captain makes it 7-1. So some late reward here for Sandringham. They've really controlled the majority of this quarter. It's been a really good response after they were thoroughly outplayed. Let's have another look at the Max's Tyre replay. Gets it forward. Lock in front position. Marks in front of Sin Cotter. Goes back and converts. It's been an impressive turnaround from Sandringham.
It has, particularly when you may mention earlier that Carlton arguably got the game on their terms, had the ball in their forward half for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then just Sandy Zebra's ability then to get a forward 50 entry, get a re-stoppage, and then get that quick kick to Goy Lock, a guy that we just spoke about, probably playing out of position but making the most. You said it's quite funny, both St Kevin's boys being Anthony Seton and Goy Lock, captain and vice captain of Sandy, which is really promising. But a good response from Sandy after dominance from Carlton for 3 or 4 minutes.
In the shadows of half-time, it's a 5-point game. And Sandringham will have a chance to go back here and maybe pinch the lead at the half. Clark, time will beat them. That's a really, really good fight back from Sandringham after conceding the first 4 goals of the game. They've got themselves right back in this contest.
Get, of course, his 3rd term, of course, with thanks to the Isuzu D-Max. Hello and welcome to past president of the Sandringham and a great contributor to VFL football, and Jerry Ryan, who's watching on from Echuca. He's a premiership president of the Zebras. They had many, many good times here at the old Princess Park, winning a couple of flags in the 90s, and then, of course, that 3 in a row, 04, 5 and 6 here. And they were aligned with Melbourne. They're now a dance partner of the Saints, and some of their Saints have helped power them back into this game. Dow's been excellent for the Blues. He gives it to Fogarty. Desperate tackle from Butler to drag him down through the feet of Williamson, and Leanett will see it across the line. And Paddy Dow just a little bit ginger as he's making his way, perhaps looking at his hand. I don't know if he got a knock from the possession that lingered here. Let's see him slip, and then awkward tangle perhaps with Mitch Owens and grabbing something on that left hand or wrist perhaps. So he's been a pivotal figure so far for the Blues. Led them in the face of some pressure from the Zebras in the second quarter with 9 touches. Sandy kicked 4-5 to 2-3 in the second to close the game back to the current margin of 5. Fist from Boyd over the top of Lohman. Advantage paid to Burns, who sprints away, and he's got options in the corridor. Allison worked his way to the front. Paris stripped as Marchbank shuffles the handball out towards Marr. Burns again, pops it to Lohman, couldn't get the kick before the Boyd tackle. Now it's Burns with a 3rd opportunity in a snap that'll miss to the right. So the Zebras, they're 8th behind the game so far. Ryan Burns having a good afternoon after sitting on the bench at the Adelaide Oval last night as the Medi sub, as the Saints beat the Crows. Burns with now a team high 18 possessions.
Boyd to do the kick in. Blues under siege a little from quarter time onwards. It's been all Sandringham. Carlton efficient with their rare opportunities forward. Managed to retain the lead. Radovanovic goes short, back to Boyd. Lovely kick again, finds Trudgeon. Not a lot of space to work in, he weighted that perfectly. Trudgeon pops it high towards the wing, looking for Glass McCasker. His arm being held in an armbar there by Clark. They're going to pay advantage, and in the end it's going to come back as Phil weaved his way past Hunter Clark. So Glass McCasker has it on the wing. Wants to give it to Boyd. He's going to get shut down by Clark. So they work it with Philp, back to Boyd. And again, tidy delivery down the line from Jordan Boyd. Finds Kemp, who's been thrown forward in the second half. From 65 out, kicks towards the pocket. Campbell just has to stand and wait. Takes the mark and can now switch it hard towards the city side of the ground. Dow tries to get to Allison. Leanett stripped of it, gets it back. Pressure came from Honey. Delivers it short and finds Connolly about defensive 30.
Got Paris right at the bottom of your right of your TV screen, but goes in the other direction for Burns to Allison. Options down the line, elects to come back to Ryan Burns. So the Zebras in some control here as Burns goes to Joyce. Harris provides him with the lead. That opens up space in behind, and that's going to be the space that Campbell was able to stretch Murkoff on the lead and take the mark. It's the full 360 spin. Locke presents, good fist there from Radovanovic. Got through Burns to Crocker. Now the Blues will try and construct something from half-back.
Marchbank to Crocker. He's going to look up, kick towards Kemp, who's going to have to fly against a couple that'll get over the back. Chance for Trudgeon, just throws it on his boot, couldn't make good contact. Highmore gets back there for Sandringham. He's rolled in the tackle by Philp. Highmore battles on. Kemp in over the top. Connolly on him. Instructions coming from the boundary line. Glass McCasker Only as far as Peris. Kicks back towards the wing. How will the umpire see this? Insufficient intent.
Oh, no.
So it'll be a Carlton ball to Sincotta. Steps Butler beautifully. Delivers deep towards the pocket. 3-on-2 in the air. Well done, Highmore. Quite a lot of delivery inside 50. BJ's been drawn towards that pocket so far this afternoon. It's a really tough spot to kick goals from.
A lot of the play actually has been out on this wing, but Sandy Zebras have got numbers behind the ball in the minute, so Carlton have had the dominance from the start, had numerous inside 50s, but Sandringham Zebras, for one, I think it's a lack of spread from the Sandy Zebras halfbacks or half forwards to reset the ground, but they've got numbers sitting back, which is making it hard for Carlton to score.
Campbell with the size advantage over Glass McCasker. Honey with the tackle on Geary. That's going nowhere fast as Trudgeon's taken to ground. Joel Trudgeon's sister Paige plays in the Carlton AFLW team. What a fantastic season she had early this year. They'll be in action again in August. Out of the pack comes Glass McCasker. Was touched off his boot. Margin back out to 5 points.
It's even interesting, both teams are playing almost traditional 6-6-6. There's no loose behind the ball. There's, on occasions when the ball's deep inside Carlton's 50 there, they've got a ruckman that sits behind the ball, but in terms of general play, there's no half forwards rolling out to stoppages. So there's
out of Williamson, an opportunity to punch them on the turnover, and Tom does just that. Perhaps the only real fumble or mistake we've seen from Jared Leanett this afternoon opens up the door for Tom Williamson, who's become a goal kicker this season in the VFL. That's his 5th. BJ, as we have a look at this replay with thanks to the Isuzu D-Max, a rare error so far today from Jared Leanett, but perhaps impacted by Bytel flying in.
It was, and Highmore just maybe just biting off more than he can chew there, coming back through the corridor, which was brave, but what Williamson does well is he kicks the ball well. So I actually like what I've seen from Williamson, not only today, but in other games at AFL level. I think he's got a lot of promise, but looking to cement a spot in Carlton's team like a number of boys today.
Blues will go forward again through Xavier Marr. Kick goes inside 50 by Tell. Murkov, Philp, Sincotta. He delivers inside 50. Ball spills off the contest. Crocker at the back. Gathers. Harassed. Milne in there working. Comes to McHale. He gets a quick kick. As we head boundary side, Jake Lohman joins us on the headset. Jake, thanks very much for your time.
Hey guys, no worries. Thank you for having me.
Great turnaround from you guys in the second term. What made the difference?
The handball received obviously in the first quarter. I think they had like 48 or something, which is probably like a world record. But we got on top of that, stopped their run. Our contest obviously is our identity, so we were really working on our identity today, and that's definitely it.
And what was the messaging from the coaches at half-time, mate?
Just, stay calm. Obviously, we gave away a lot of free kicks. I think it was 18-6, something like that. So stay in the game. We're definitely up for the fight, and definitely got back on our terms in that second quarter there. So keep doing what we're doing, keep knowing what we know, and as I said before, working on identity and keep that, and we'll win the game.
Speaking of staying calm, Jake, you're on the end of a couple of decisions from the umpires in the second quarter that went against you. It was a little bit of a test to make sure there wasn't any back chat and maybe more hurt from a free kick point of view added.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to hunt and chase and pressure. That's my role in the team, so I'd like to put my physicality on the line, but obviously got to get back in that blue brain and stay in the game and stay in the present, and get back and fix it for the team and get on the free kick or get the ball back in our hands, which is my role in the team. So yeah, very unfortunate, but that's what it is.
Jake, we appreciate your time. We love watching you play. Good luck for the rest of the afternoon. We'll let you get back into it.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Sam Butler goes short, finds Matt Allison. A chance once again for Sandringham to draw back within a straight kick.
Carlton were disappointed with that when you got him in a slow play and he's tucked on the boundary there. A really tough shot if he was to have a shot at goal, but just to find that little 15-metre kick back into the corridor, which gives Sandy Zebras and Matthew Ellison a greater opportunity and a high percentage shot on goal.
Matt Stad-Bryant in the Coburg Hall of Fame and Team of the Century. It's been a Mr. Fix-It this year, has Matt. Wanted to play him on the wing. They've thrown him into key defence at times, and this afternoon he's playing forward. That one's been pushed across the face for a minor score. Such an athletic and versatile prospect, Nudge. Matt Allison at 195.87 moves really well. And as we've seen, can play just about anywhere on the ground.
Yeah, spot on, Jace. The perfect size, shape and skill set for the modern game. The Saints can give him a bit of time to develop here at Sandringham as well. Here's Boyd. Slides the kick towards Kemp, who was pushed out by his own man in the end in Glass McCasker. Joyce, 2-on-2, Carey from the side. Almost protected the drop zone. Owens motors away. Clever use as well. He's a classy player on the rise. And where Mitch Owens is heading as a player, as a contested ball situation type, the gather, the trap, but then the dexterity to sum up the situation and finish it off. Promising signs indeed.
Well, Sandy set up really well behind the ball. A really good contest here from Carey, which brought the ball to Guerin. And then, as you may mention, a great gather under pressure in congestion. What a finish. Is he a left footer? It's a pretty good finish on his opposite foot. So really classy finish from Sandy Zebras there.
Wonderful goal to Mitch Owens. So much class. Scouting report on him from inside the Saints is that he's so good on the inside, but they almost need to protect him from himself. He's got to learn to get more uncontested possession as Butler comes streaming away from the middle. Inside 50, here's a chance for Allison. Can Sandy hit the front? It's across the face. Misses the lot. But the Zebras at the moment looking good. The Blues on the back foot. Fighting hard to try and protect this lead. Shannon goes for distance. Glass McCasker against Campbell. Gets to the back for Clark. He's got support. Connolly sells the dummy on Trudgeon. Spears it low and hard and finds McHale. He goes to Connolly, who kept on running. He delivers it inside 50 once again to a 2-on-2. Here's Owens at the front. And Mitch Owens showing the full repertoire of his ability. Jordan Boyd with his hands full in this third term.
It's almost a replay of how they got the ball back, being Sandy Zebras when they lock it. Allison's shot was across the face. It's almost a good thing that it went out of bounds because it gives them time to actually set up behind the ball, which they did well again. And Connolly having an impact twice there, creating that overlap run. I think the first kick was accidental, finding a target, but that second one there just kicking it to Owens' advantage.
Well capable of playing deep forward. Owens kicks a couple and the Zebras are in front. Marks this term 14-4, Brendan, in favour of Sandringham. They're able to control the tempo of the game all of a sudden.
Yeah, and even when Carlton do win the ball now, as opposed to that first quarter where they actually looked dangerous whenever Carlton won the ball, particularly in Sandy Zebra's forward line, where they're able to then find uncontested marks, switch the ball, get to the open side. Now Sandy Zebra defensively are forcing them long down the line. That's where they're set up really well behind it. They're winning the ball back and scoring off re-entry.
Went to 22 of the 23 centre bounces the Zebras had in their win over the Northern Bull Ants a couple of weeks ago. But right now, Owens playing as their deepest forward as Glass McCasker pops it to Philp, gave it to Honey, made good of it, wriggles through a couple, then can snap high into orbit. Miss to the left, and the Carlton supporters in the effects mic thought it had made its way home. But Josh Honey, some promising signs nonetheless in the game so far on his return. He's had a couple of behinds. As we saw there, though, the Zebras have their first lead of the day after Mitch Owens has peeled off a couple of majors quickly through the hands of Leanett. Wouldn't they love another one here just to extend the margin? He floats that kick, though, into a dangerous spot. Trudgeon on the knees. Back to Shannon. Tumbles a ball forward to the feet of Philp. Huge ricochet, but it works okay. Aquay slowly starts accelerating, works his way through the traffic. The kick deep. The fly will come from Kemp. By Tell. Clark. Handball over his head. Releases Watson and Sandy are running away quickly. Carey can fan it to a number of options. McHale wants one to come towards him. It's going to be Butler, Owens or Lohman. Butler with the grab, the snap and the miss.
Just that kick from McHale just needed to find Butler. That was a terrific play from the back half. The overlap run from the halfbacks. Carey getting involved as a tall forward in the middle of the ground. And they had a lot of space to work back in. I think even Allison there was the deepest forward that could have come up at the footy to make it a little bit easier for McHale. But he just has to hit Butler there. He had plenty of time and space to hit that target.
Long kick back towards the wing. Big pack of players. And one noticeable thing, Brennan, is early in the game, Carlton, their ability to lock it in their forward 50 had suddenly disappeared. Sandringham are just being able to stream out of their own back half right now.
Well, that was a weakness of Sandy that we talked about in the first quarter, that when it went in their 50, that it bounced out and it was a shallow entry, which made it easier and made them more vulnerable when it did come out. But again, they're just locking the ball in their forward half and not allowing Carlton, who we talked about being a high kick, high uncontested mark team, to actually maintain possession of the footy.
Dow to Honey. Well done, Williamson. Tries to get rid of Paris. No easy task. Puts it into the path of Honey to run onto. He's got Allison there for company. Time to turn, assess the options, go on the left and sizzle a beautiful pass to Cale. Cale goes towards half forward. Nice delivery, finds Handley. He plays on from 52 metres. Chips towards the top of the square. It's off the hands of the contest. The dangerous Crocker. Soccer's off the ground. And it'll be a throw in forward pocket for the Blues, who need a bit of a spark here. They need a couple of their bigger names to get busy again. The likes of Dow and Fogarty and Setterfield need to get more involved as they were early, because right now it's being played on Sandringham's terms.
6 goals to 3 since quarter time in favour of the visitors. Both these teams, of course, coming off byes. Clark kicked it under Dow, only as far as Fogarty. Gallagher, the no look, misses its intended target. The tackle from Watson was perhaps a little bit high on Cale, but he's not going to get free of Blake Watson, who's a serious unit. And what a great story he is. Plays his local footy with Whittlesea in the Northern Football League. You couldn't get any further away from Sandringham in metropolitan Melbourne, but he's gone to Trevor Bark Beach Oval for his VFL opportunity, and hasn't he taken it so far with today's 5th match. He's averaged 18.5 possessions and 4.5 clearances so far, and his contested possession rate is 3 to 1 uncontested possession.
He's a beast, isn't he? Best on the ground in 7 games last year in his Whittlesea season.
Lean it. Owens came to the back. Radovanovic floated it. Trudgeon did well to keep the play alive. Bytel pummeled him and turns it over.
So Bytel has it. Radovanovic sets himself, takes the grab. So can the Blues start to find a bit of creativity, a bit of run and spread themselves? They've got good users off half-back. One of them is Williamson. Now to Setterfield. Some of these AFL-listed players need to increase their influence on the game. Chincotta back to Williamson. Feeds a handball through. Dow the receive, the give and go. Back to Fogarty. Can he find a target inside 50? He can. Good build-up from the Blues. Now Ned Cale needs to go back and finish the work.
You can just see how vulnerable Sandy are when Carlton are able to get that switch and get the back ball, get the ball back through the middle of the ground. And then, I mentioned earlier, when you get it back in the middle of the ground, then that brings in their halfbacks. We've seen Williamson getting involved there, Dow having a rare touch in this quarter, but even Fogarty there getting involved. But then they're able to expose those Sandy defenders, or that not so much expose them, but get isolation with their Carlton forwards.
He's kicked 11-4 for the season, Ned Cale. He's been sharp around goal. 4 against Box Hill in round 2, 3 against North in round 6. They need one here. And misses way right to lock things up as we approach time on in the 3rd. Always had the feeling this was going to be a tight game between 2 pretty evenly matched teams, and a critical one, Nudge. Both of these teams with top 4 aspirations.
Joyce to Geary, yeah, it's living up to the bill, particularly after Carlton kicked the first 4 goals of the match. But as we've seen, that can amount to little. That was pretty much Richmond's lot last Sunday against Box Hill, and we know what the Hawks were able to do late in that one. Locke, Clark, again underground, Paris, Clark, links with Seton. Has Lohman out the back here on Fogarty. Lohman with the blue brain engaged. Tried to get Fogarty moving then. He just slipped over on the spot he was in. Reardon, big fist from the telescopic arms of Murkov. It might work for his fellow big man in Cripps. They play a bit of handball effectively. McHale lost it. Barzen, his kick impacted. It's going to be a wait for Burns, who almost tried to go without it. McHale back to Geary. Just knew where to hold his width then. Such clever play. Mansfield drops the mark. Assistant coach Brendan Goddard puts the hands to the head in the commentary box. Seton to try and clean it up for the St Kevin's boys. And Kemp intercepts. Not a good couple of minutes for your boys, Beach.
No, it wasn't, but I think it was Lohman just there on the far side. He had opportunity to go to Allison early on, where he had isolation and space inside 50.
Kemp under pressure from Allison. The Blues haven't been able to clear the zone here, and that'll allow Sandringham to set up again.
Yeah, but young Benny got disappointed. He hasn't had a great day. I think he's had one touch for the day, and he just would have had an opportunity there to go back and have a shot on goal from about 40 out straight in front.
So as we hit time on in the third term, Sevens VFL match of the day, and a perfect day at Icon Park. We are all locked up. Murkov against Heath. Spills in the Bytel direction. He's under pressure and taken to the line by Xavier Marr. There's Jack Bytel. 17 touches for him this afternoon. Xavier Marr, who's been on AFL radar for a couple of years now. Just the 7 for the day. Looks like he's got the job right now of trying to close Bytel down. Heath and Murkov. Heath the only one to get there. Cannons into Marr, flings it in the Watson direction, and once again he's walked over the line. There's Mitch Reardon, catches his breath on the boundary line. Bytel just rubbing the eye. And we'll do it all again here. Heath managed to get to the front of Murkov last time. Can Alex prevent that from happening again?
Heath went the instep. Watson with the snap. Fist from both Allison and Kemp keeps the play continuous. Lohman looks high from Boyd. Lohman did well to get boot to ball, and it was Mansfield and Radovanovic contesting it through for a behind. So Sandy regained the lead, but it's in single figures at the moment. 2-1 in the quarter so far. Mitch Owens with both the majors for Sandy after Tom Williamson opened the scoring in the quarter for Carlton. Sincotta forced to kick to a contest here. Radovanovic from the side, the fist from Leanett. Clark knocked away by Barzen. Radovanovic tried to bounce it up to himself. Bytel went the fend, and once you can't execute the possession, it's all over. So Setterfield free kick at half-back. This is where the Blues have, for much of the day, started to muster and create something.
Again, Sandy doing another good job defensively, forcing that long kick down the line.
Dara Joyce there to take the grab. Good, strong, contested mark from Dara Joyce. Prepared to retreat, to retain possession and open up the city side of the ground as Highmore to Seton. Beautifully done by Burns. Going with the flight of the football, and needed to be as well, because Gallagher was waiting on it. Burns steps around Gallagher, brings it back inboard to Highmore. And he now chips it wide to Peris. Back to Highmore. They look to shift this Carlton zone around and find a hole. Joyce has it. Now to Leanett. So the double switch, they're back to the northern side of the ground, and Leanett heads in the Watson direction, and Boyd does enough to get it to the line. So the game's really changed. Both teams have locked down defensively. As Nudge mentioned, it's just 2-1 in this third term. It's become a real defensive struggle right now, with high stakes. Critical 4 points on offer this afternoon between these two teams. The sort of game, Nudge, that you can look back at the end of the year and it's the difference between maybe finishing top 4 or not, or making the finals or not. against other teams in the same position on the ladder as you.
Very much the case for the Blues if they were to drop this one, in addition to giving up an 8-goal lead against Frankston a fortnight ago as well. Good tackling work through from Connolly to stop Setterfield. There is the live ladder, as we mentioned at halftime. Buys for the top 2 teams in the league, Casey and Collingwood, this round. Clark to Butler. It was just a clip of the heels there from Setterfield. He's sandwiched by Butler and Watson. Trudgeon, after receiving from Sincotta, goes towards Cripps, who is being held by Leanett. So Josh Cripps, the free, he's got options riding shotgun. And Trudgeon and Marr went for the line, and Crocker and Carlton again, BJ, just hugging the boundary, but it's been slowing them down, although Crocker earns himself a free kick here.
Not sure exactly what for young Tyson Milne, but again, yeah, Sandy Zebras defensively just a lot better than they were, even in the second quarter, when you arguably say they won that quarter, but forcing Carlton, as we know, a high contested, unpossession team, that forcing them long down the line, which is not how they want to play.
Heath couldn't mark, which opens the door for Cripps. He's wrestled to the turf by Joyce.
So the Blues with the territorial advantage in the third, but a lot of those have been shallow. Come straight back out. Geary's kick. Body contact there from Shannon was read really nicely by Watson. Wrote it well. Kick wasn't so good. Aquay just unaware, got absolutely hammered. Just did not see Blake Watson coming at him. Bang. There's Aquay straight back into it. Well played, young man. Couldn't quite hang on to the football low. Lock. He's taken down by Setterfield. Clark in there working hard against Dow. Clark takes the football and he's walked backwards. And the struggle continues. Carlton with a chance to jump to second if they can find a way to win this afternoon. Nicely gathered from Burns off the stoppage. Kicks towards the pocket. Lohman in the middle of this pack. It'll spill to the back. Owens is dangerous. He's worked towards the line. Shannon taken down from behind by Carey. Arm slipped over the shoulder. And once again, the Blues can escape. Matt Shannon to Barzan. Short to Crocker, working all the way up the ground late in the term to get involved. Now to Williamson. The Blues are so dynamic early. That flow has been taken away by Sandringham. Barzan tries to pick his way through, but Joyce and Highmore have been doing the job behind the football for Sandringham. Closing down the options. Plenty of intercept possessions. Paris, Joyce, draws a man, flips it to Leanett. Leanett spears inside 50. Campbell's his target, got his hand to it and takes the grab. Had the size advantage on Radovanovic. And Tom Campbell hauls it in. And a chance to give Sandringham a little bit of breathing space in the shadows of three-quarter time.
They only needed 1 minute, the big fella, but again, Carlton actually got the ball to the open side, but then Sandy did a good job to actually slow them down, and the mistake came, just a bit of pressure from Sandy Zebras, which forced the intercept mark by Joyce, I think it was, which did a good job, and then created that overlap run and got a good look inside 50.
Campbell pushes that one across the face, doubles the lead. It's a 2-point margin. Tom Campbell's first miss for the year. He'd kicked 3 straight until that moment there, and Sandringham now with a 2-point lead.
And again, it'll be Sincotta to try and clear it. It's got Williamson as the option towards the boundary. Comes a little bit inside that destination. The fly from Cripps created the spill. They're off here. Williamson, but it's 1-on-3 here for Crocker. He's going to need a kind bounce. Milne. Crocker got over the top of him. Milne did well to allow some support to come in the form of Joyce, and Geary puts it in reverse for Leanett. We're almost back to where we were some 3 minutes ago, as Leanett and Joyce tried to find a way for Sandy to go the length of Icon Park here. Mansfield under this. Campbell. Owens flying as well. Aquay steps Heath. Tried to find a target in Handley. Geary. Lock. Zebra's just better on the inside at the moment. Clark, the side of his boot to Campbell, and there's a sense that the cue might be in the rack here for the Zebras. Joyce has had many a mark and possession in this third quarter, working in tandem with Leonard, as we've mentioned, across half-back as the interceptors. And Campbell tried to reposition himself. There's a push. Both umpires adjudicating the same free kick to Zane Barzan.
He goes short to Kemp. He's gone back again. As the siren sounds for three-quarter time, and Sandringham have got their noses in front as we turn for home at Icon Park. It's the Zebras, 7:11:53. Take a look at the ground ball get numbers, which is your hard gets and your loose gets put together. It's dead even at 70 apiece. Sandringham by 2 points. Really important 30 minutes of football remaining in this one. Sevens VFL match of the day from Icon Park. Sandringham have dominated the second and third terms. Can Carlton get back on top and find a way to win from here as Owens is immediately taken down? Carlton so good early at busting away from the stoppage, getting those clean takeaways. Sandringham have denied them of that for 2 quarters. Can Carlton get that inside magic working again? Look at Owens, just desperate. It'll spill out. Fogarty, he's taken down. Dow, they're going to be important in the last term, as is this man, Boyd, sizzling early. Beautiful delivery again to Crocker, and he just got a nudge. In fact, it's Glass McCasker. Sandringham fans not thrilled with that decision, but Jesse Glass McCasker can go back in the opening minute of the final term and give Carlton back the lead.
Well, it was arguably a kick to a 50-50, but it was such a good kick that it forced Joyce to just put him under enough pressure where he had to try and get a spoil in and couldn't get a direct hand on the ball. So his only option really was to put a bit of physicality and chopping the arms.
A couple of behinds today for Jesse Glass McCasker. Generally a good finisher. The Blues need this one to regain the lead from 48 metres. Doesn't get all of it. It's going to drop short. And well, Torrin Baker, Carlton coach, will be furious with that. No one on the line at all, and Tom Campbell can just belt it through.
So the Zebras get ball back in hand. Leo Connolly, another of these 14 AFL Saints, trying to press a claim. He played all his 7 of his AFL games last year. No one's touched that. Or have they?
No, but it's a play on right. He left the
Lucky
square.
to come out of the square. So Carlton will get the ball back in the vicinity of goal. You probably noticed some of the pictures. Many of you wouldn't have seen Icon Park on television since the AFLW season. The work's certainly starting to accelerate here in the Princes Park precinct. Light towers installed on that outer side of the ground. Campbell, Reardon, Clark, always able to buy himself some time, goes back to Reardon. Burns worked really hard to get to that ball. He had Shannon hanging off his belt buckle, but still able to take that mark and come inboard to Owens, who lit the game up in a couple of minutes forward in the third quarter.
Now looks to be playing more as a midfielder, or he's further up the ground anyway. I think they've got 6 forwards ahead of it.
Highmore, Connolly, Geary, looking to keep it moving. And Philp went to gather him. Connolly keeps running, cuts through 3 Blues with speed, puts it deep. Lohman on the back of a Quay through his hands, and another Zebra miss.
Notice one thing today, that Connolly loves to take risks and take guys on, so there's a lot of speed through traffic, got great agility, and by doing that he's been breaking lines, which then get another great look inside 50 for Sandy Zebras.
Boyd launches up the middle, doesn't hit it well at all, and the only man to go for it in the end was Geary. Towards the pocket, and Allison will take the grab. So a poor kick in from Jordan Boyd and a poor setup from the Blues may turn this into a 7-point play.
Contested mark in the end. I think if he dropped it, it's probably going to be a free kick anyway on Boyd for high contact, but it's the first time I've seen Allison move today, and he moves well. One of his greatest strengths, we talked about his flexibility, actually might hurt him come AFL, because it's where do you fit him in? Where does he play his best footy? Today we've seen him more as a forward.
Chance to kick his second from 45 out, and that one stings. Matt Allison gets his second of the afternoon. Thanks for joining us on 7plus. Live streaming our State League footy right around the country. 7 VFL, Sandful and Waffle matches of the day. Available live and on demand throughout the week. Keep up to date with all the youngsters coming through. AFL players looking to return. It's all available on 7plus. Replay thanks to INC Sports Nutrition from Chemist Warehouse, and just a poor defensive breakdown from the Blues. Wasn't a great kick in, Brennan, and of course when that happens you tend to find that you're totally out of position behind the footy.
Yeah, that's right, and often there's a bit of a mismatch with Boyd on Allison, but you actually get caught out because you're trying to get involved in offence and then quickly have to turn to defence and just find anyone that's closest to you to defend.
Blues needing to turn this scoring tap back on and quickly. Geary, fumbly. Chance now for Setterfield to Crocker on the boundary. Don't worry about where he is. This is out of bounds on the full. One other game currently underway in the Smithies VFL to wrap up round 9. It's up the road from here at Steel Stadium, Preston City Oval, the traditional name, and Jean-Luc Velasaris, the only multiple goal kicker on the ground with 2. It's the Cats by 6 points at half-time. You can watch that rest of that game via the AFL app. You might be watching this one in addition to 7 or 7 pluses. Heath presents. Good hand on it there from McQuaid, but Owens punched the hand into it for Bytel. Heads towards Butler and Boyd. Butler lost the eyes on it. Lohman try and keep it in, does well. Burns back to Lohman. Clever play. Now overlap releases Butler here. He'll calculate his options. Feign, kick, hit the post. Perhaps option H of all of them is the result in the end for Dan Butler, who's finding new and creative ways to miss goals this afternoon, Beach.
Well, he missed it in the end, but I'm going to say he had 2 other better options than that low percentage shot that he ended up trying to kick a drop punt from the pocket. Could you say arguably he was trying to get it to Allison in the end? Maybe, but he should have actually kicked it there earlier. There was someone else that was about 30 metres out straight in front.
Cripps looked to be pushed in the back. Umpire said pay the mark, and the ball's inside 50 to Heath, who's already kicked a couple this afternoon. Real chance for Sandringham to open up a gap here. The Blues haven't really fired a shot since quarter time.
Haven't seen much of Heath since quarter time. He had a really big impact when Carlton were actually on top, but we've seen little of him, but can make an impact here. But what Sandy are doing well is when they actually do score a point and force Carlton to kick it in, they're actually locking it in. We saw before Geary take that intercept mark. Another shot on goal with Allison and one here with Heath.
So this for a game-high 15-point lead for Sandringham. Heath for goal number 3 from directly in front, drives it through. Jake Batchelor looking comfortable in the Sandringham coach's box, as you'd expect. Game completely on their terms right now. It's been an impressive performance from Sandringham, who have just hung in, got on top, and backed their system to beat the Blues. And right now, it is. They lead by 15 points.
You're right, Beach. Max Heath had just the 1 mark since those 2 goals.
Check out the replay, thanks to INC Sports Nutrition from Chemist Warehouse. Max Heath with goal number 3.
Again, it was just that re-entry off a kick-in, which you made mention before, that there can be mismatches because the team that are defending the kick-in set up in their zone, and then what often happens is the players actually then try and get used as Carlton. When there's a quick turnover, they've often got mismatches forward.
The man behind the pole, if you're wondering, was Gubby Allen, as Fogarty sends this deep. Cripps, fist from Highmore, and again, the Saints defenders fold back. Zebra's very happy to once again neutralise that opportunity. Jaron Geary's had a real influence on the game in a Jaron Geary style since quarter time. He had only 2 possessions in the match in that first quarter, Brendan, but he's been really influential. 18 to date, 7 in the second, 7 in the third.
I think it's no coincidence that, particularly in that third quarter, when defensively Sandy are really good, but they were winning the ball and setting up well behind it, but they were winning the ball in their front half, and then the defenders actually came into it when they switched the ball, or they won it back and switched the ball, and they looked really dangerous going forward.
And here he is on cue. received the hand pass from Bytel. Clearing ball will beat McHale and Trudgeon across the line. So Ryan Burns with 27, as Paddy Dow's had for the Blues, but they've certainly been a different style and at different times of the game. The Blues, if you're just joining us, kicked the first 4 goals of the match. They led by 25 points 16 minutes into the opening quarter. Dow kicked 2 and a red-hot start to the game, but scoreboard will tell you it's been all zebras in terms of scoreboard since, but they've taken a while to get their nose in front. Bytel's kick smothered. Comes back to Trudgeon, who's bundled over. Williamson somehow got it free. Fogarty, though, with no space. Sandy closing all the doors here, and Watson will be happy to mark time.
Immediately after this game, we're going to take you straight to UTAS Stadium in Launceston for Hawthorn and Brisbane as part 2 of our Super Sunday here on 7. McHale, high kick towards the wing. Carey. Here's Locke. Kicks it to 50, and another good stretch here from Allison, who plays on. Has got Butler over the top, goes deeper. Setterfield. Coming through was Philp. Butler has the football. Can he feed it through? Setterfield, quick hands. Aquay is gone. And here's a chance for Ben Mansfield to go back and kick his first VFL goal.
My man, Benny Mansfield, but it was a really good kick in the end by Goy Locke. This is the advantage of Allison because he didn't have any other option going forward. And Allison's then made the decision to play on, which turned out to be a good one, and just get the ball to the top of that goal square, which is a really dangerous position where Sandy actually had an equal number and a bit of isolation. He was on a small forward, but then good pressure to hold the ball in and cause a turnover.
So Mansfield for his first goal in the VFL. He's tugged it left. So the Blues need a spark here. Where's it going to come from? Who can stand up and turn this around for them? Well, look at this man, Setterfield, Dow, Fogarty. They've got experience, and this is Fogarty. Gives it off. And scurrying away now is Radovan. In fact, it's Sincotta.
Shared it with Cripps. Goes back now to Sincotta. Kick needs to stay inside the chalk. Well done, Milne. Took the aggressive front spot on Crocker, and he's done a super job in defence today. Been really dependable. You'd be taken with the young man's game, Beach.
I have been, and just more the experience that we talked about Crocker and his influence on the competition of late being the leading goal kicker, but just to give him a job like that to play on, an experienced player at this level that played AFL regularly, that it's been a really good challenge for him. I've been really impressed with him.
And Crocker 7 touches, 2 marks, and just the 1 major so far. Fogarty, Seton with courage, super mark. That's brilliant from Anthony Seton. Central to the DNA of his game. Eyes only for the footy. To Joyce in the goal square. Comes inside for Highmore, and they've got overlap here. Highmore had McHale against the line. Comes inboard for Clark. Thankfully, we paid it. McHale deserves it here. He's still in an acre of space. It's closed down by the Blues defenders. But all that does is open up a spot for Highmore to slide into. As McHale creeps into the bottom of your screen there in that previous shot. Now out of it. Highmore cues it in for Joyce. They can just control this here. Sandringham. The Blues in a sleeper hold scoring-wise. Fly from Kemp and Aquay. Sincotta, although the tackle may have lingered here on Butler from Kemp, and Butler will take advantage.
Short inside to Connolly. Butler still there. Tried to draw the 50 and almost did, really. Wasn't paid. Kick inside. Quick shot at goal there from Chris Carey. Floats out of bounds on the full. So the ball movement's just become really difficult for the Blues, and conversely, as the day's gone on, it's become more open and fluent for Sandringham. Setterfield out to Fogarty. He's got a loose man. It's Williamson. Brings it inboard. Ma's got to stand and wait. Again, there's just not that run and flow and overlap that there was early in the game. Sandringham been so good at getting back and setting up their zone. Carlton have just had to try to chip their way through it. It must be said, without a great deal of success. Handley gains a little bit of territory and then thumps it long towards half forward. Joyce. Free kick as he manhandles Josh Cripps. So we hit the 14.5-minute mark with the final term. Crocker in the middle of that pack. Spills, lovely gather from Gallagher. Slapped out of his hands. Clark tries to accelerate through. The tackle sticks from Trudgeon and will be rewarded.
Didn't think he had too much prior opportunity, to be honest with that.
The fend. That was the thing that did him.
Fend, yeah. As soon as you fend, that's your prior opportunity gone.
So he tried to fend him off, and he's just having that conversation with the umpire now. You can see him just making that motion, saying as soon as you fended, the tackle stuck, and that's holding the football. So a huge kick here for Joel Trudgeon. Blues need a goal. They need a spark. This would get them back within 10 points with heaps of time. Still got half a quarter of football to play. They just haven't got any momentum right now.
Even the inside 50 they just got, it was a slow build-up. Sandy had numbers back. They did a really good job to slow him down.
Critical kick. Trudgeon gets it home. Blues still alive. Margin back to 10 points. So against the flow of play, very much so. And it was hard work. But they get the 6 points. And the margin back to just 10. With still another 15 or so minutes to play. Ferocious competitor Joel Trudgeon. Clark's got some power. It was a good effort to make that one stick.
Yeah, for mine it's a little 50-50 one, but as I said, as soon as it looked like he went to fend, then you've given up your prior opportunity.
Replay thanks to INC Sports Nutrition. So can Carlton get a bit of a boost here, a bit of a spark, and put together back-to-back goals and put some pressure on the Zebras?
Recalled bounce, got some tricky patches of turf, clay and sand for the umpires to navigate the centre of Icon Park there. So Heath into the ruck. Owens was being impacted by Cale as he was hunting after the footy. So Mitch Owens to drive the Zebras back into attack as they look for a quick answer. McHale against Trudgeon, the recent goal kicker. Bytel waited for the bounce. Not the best of kicks, but Watson tried to find Lohman. McQuay can see it out to the line. So margin at 10 points as we work our way to the 17-minute mark. Carlton led by 19 at quarter time. That was trimmed to 5 at the half. The Zebras kicked 2-4 to 1-3 in the third to lead by 2 points at the last change. Matt Allison with a goal 3 minutes in, his second, and then Joel Trudgeon with that most recent major to bring the margin back to just 10 points. Missed everybody, and that means Sincotta can sprint away to Boyd as the Blues try and muster a forward line structure in front of this hurtling speed off halfback. Boyd will go even further. He'll just go over them but miss.
That's scintillating footy from the back half.
Is exactly how Carlton need to play from here. Just got to be audacious, take some risks to get back in front.
And Crocker throwing his hands in the air, saying that was a low percentage play. Jordan Boyd apologising. Lean it. Kicks it long. Heath, Owens, neither could bring it down. Sandy been able to control the game from half-back since quarter time. Those intercept defenders been very creative. Here's Williamson, can't quite control it. Clark, nice kick, good vision. Finds Watson, done some nice things this afternoon. Hunter Clark is down and sore behind the play. Back up now. Maybe just winded. There's a bit of a biff on behind the play as well. Williamson involved there. Boyd and Kemp involved with the football. Maher sets it up. Crocker smashed away from him. Opportunity here for Sandringham. All the other way for the Blues. The Blues will get it. Having to stand tall. Arriving late was Leanett. Came in hard over the top on Philp. It's still there for Carlton. Trying to step out of trouble was Radovanovic. High kick, Sincotta. Inside 50. Punched away by Cripps. Spills to the deck. Kale working hard to get there. Has some support. Fogarty, he's taken down. Off the boot of Kale, dribbles out.
That's Ryan Burns trying to get his breath back, Jace. Here's the incident. He's on the ground for the best part of 30 seconds.
So that's the first one with Clark and Williamson.
He came in to remonstrate, and then
there was a bit of a spot fire after that. And Darragh Joyce now limping to the bench as well for Sandringham. As we head for time on in the final term, it's a 9-point game. Can Carlton manufacture something here? Burns taken down. Ball still in dispute through the legs of Fogarty. Clark tries to bust through the tackle, dribbles a handball. McHale taken high by Kale.
Play on. I thought we're trying to stamp that out at all levels. Yep.
Dropping at the knees.
Dropping and the ducking under a tackle.
So McHale to Highmore as the Zebras try and reassert themselves here. Seton's kick goes looking for Locke. Work it over the line and be happy with it as well. News from UTAS Stadium, where we'll head after this for the Hawks and the Lions. Many subs have been named. It'll be Kyle Hartigan, the medical sub, an interesting choice as a key defensive type, but we saw him be the swingman last week for Box Hill and march forward and kick a couple of goals, kicking his first at VFL level. Mitch Robinson, Lions veteran, will be the medi sub for Brisbane as they try and deliver a victory for Chris Fagan back into his home state. Jack Paris on screen. Saints NGA product, who's playing his 7th VFL game today. He's averaged 13.5 touches so far this year. 21 in round 5 against the Giants. His best haul at 11 so far today. So the Zebras maybe one major away. Carlton still with a sniff. Kale to Fogarty. Cripps part of the 2-on-2. Crocker was trying to duck out the back. The fist was to the advantage of Glass McCasker. A kick without looking. Philp v Geary. Tricky bounce. McHale got a knuckle on it to Geary. And the veteran will kick further for a one-on-one. Butler with a jumper tuck. It's landed on Radovanovic. How?
He goes short, drives it in low and hard. Good defensive work from Lean. Punched away from Cripps. It was almost on his chest. Geary. Connolly's handball misses Lean. Here's another look at this mark to Stefan Radovanovic. Perfect.
It's probably a good thing because they're away then. He's gone to ground, he's out of play. Butler's got a lot of space in front of him and he's a hard man to catch.
Like a spoon catching an egg.
Cripps over the top. Taken by Hanley. Quick kick towards the top of the square. And that mark's going to be paid. Two grabber there from Highmore, who's been outstanding. Highmore and Joyce and Leanett behind the football this afternoon have just been very, very difficult for the Blues to get through since quarter time.
There's a lot of AFL experience there in the whole scheme of things at this level, so they set up well. And then you add Jared Geary in there as a high half back.
This man, Leo Connolly's provided a bit of creativity. He goes long towards the wing. Campbell the target. It'll get over the back. A fumble from Kemp. Lohman off the knee. Throw in as we hit the 22.5-minute mark. Sandy sitting on a 9-point lead. Carlton played down. It looks like it's Alex Murkov clutching at that right ankle. And if there's one thing Carlton cannot afford to have right now, it's to lose another tall. Alex Murkov's the only other AFL-listed tall they have right now that's not in the team. So
I don't want to say it, but he's clutching at the Achilles, which we know the lower part of the Achilles. Nige?
I'm not going to put myself in doctor mode. We need Libby Birch back after she played the dual role of expert comments and physio for us at Geelong and Williamstown a few weeks ago. But he's got really heavy taping that's obviously locking in that shin guard on the lower part of his leg there. As you see him get to his feet, here's the landing. It's awkward and
it's on landing.
Bit of a pop. So whether it's a reaction to perhaps a twist of the ankle or Beach, something else in that part of the body. But as Jace mentioned, he's a young developing type, but they're quickly running through the clutch of tools they've got on the list as Highmore. It landed in his hands while he was on his knees. Handballed it back in. Kale tried to dab it to Crocker. Cripps looks to keep the play alive, as does Crocker. Desperate hand pass. Missed Marr, and away go the Zebras. Clark to Butler. Skittles away from Barzan. Pops it sideways for Lohman, who will give it back. Butler with the outside of the boot. Rolls it to Paris, who's got real speed. Nearly got ankle tapped by Boyd. Shares it into Reardon, who kicks it through the hands of Fogarty, who'd come in from the side. And that's a lucky play for Carlton initially. It might come undone here. Radovanovic. Carey for the Zebras will be happy just to put this in lock mode. Or Reardon somehow got it free. McHale, Lohman, Vitell. It's a 2-on-1 against Butler here, and Glass McCasker saves the day.
Ugly football from both teams. That one piece of video will be on both lots of reviews.
Explain.
Williamson. Sincotta's got to stand and wait. Leonard arrived late. Umpire said free kick in the back. So we hit the 25-minute mark. Blues need another goal in a hurry here. It's been heavy going for them since they kicked the first 4 of the game. And he kicked 4 since. They need to find 2 in a hurry. Kemp to Boyd. They switch. The kick's perfect once again. Radovanovic uncertain of the options because he can see there's numbers back. It's a 2-on-1 for Crocker. He's had that most of the afternoon. Well done, Milne. Highmore involved again. Flips it out in the Seton direction. He uses the support down the line. McHale steps over the line. Carlton without Alex Murkov, their #1 ruck. They've got Cripps and they've got Glass McCasker, all capable of doing ruck duties in the front half, and it's going to be Glass McCasker on this occasion.
And a number of players in this game on managed minutes as well. Marchbank making his second match in his return from a lengthy layoff, and Honey as well. So a few bodies down in the transit of this game as well. It works its way forward to Kale. He missed the mark, but then turned tackler on Connolly, who had ample time. And here's the chance for the Blues.
You suggest the quarter's not going to go too long because there hasn't been too many.
Just the 2 majors.
2 goals.
So we've been 11 minutes without a goal. Ned Cale's been another of the Blues who's had plenty of opportunities so far today in front of goal. He's been a real goal kicker this year since crossing from the Bombers. He was 4th in their VFL best and fairest last year, of course. Played a couple of AFL games last year, 6 in total at AFL level, but right now needs to kick a major for the VFL Navy Blues. Margin at 9. Back to 3.
Ned Cale sticking to the task. First tackle on Connolly may have been a touch high. And so we're set for the biggest centre clearance of the afternoon. Can the Blues get it out of the middle and get it forward, or can Sandringham take possession of the football? 27 3/4 minutes gone. Sandy by 3 points. Carlton fighting for second spot. It's going to be the Zebras. Vitell to Clark. They can kick it wide. Blues need to make something happen. Sincotta taken to ground. Campbell confronted. Pops a handball over the top. Reardon. Owens can get it inside 50 towards the pocket. And it's punched away from Heath by Quay. It's at the right end of the ground for Sandringham. Carlton need one of those dynamic busts from defensive 50.
You suggest they can't. We don't have a idea of how long's left, but
no, we love that in the VFL. Count up clock, so much better for this reason. If there was 3 seconds left, the game's over.
But Sandy now have 2 players behind the ball, so they should be able to just lock it in here. They're getting as many numbers around the ball as possible to make it a scrap, just to waste time. And then if Carlton were able to actually get the clearance, then they've got 2 guys set up and they've got a lot of support behind the ball.
Campbell in the ruck against Glass McCasker, who takes it out. They just need to get it to the outside, and they do that through Williamson. He can kick it long towards the wing. It's a 2-on-1 lean. It's nicely set up. It gets over the back to Milne. Quick hands, Connolly. Now back to Allison. And that's all they need in this situation. Just marks to be able to control the tempo. Highmore will get them another one by delivering it to Paris. Blues must man up here to try and win the football back. Connolly now in space. Every Carlton player needs a man. Paris has now moved into space on the wing. And Connolly can turn around and kick it to him. Chooses to take a little more territory. Finds another hole. Blues have simply got a man up here. Burns back to Highmore. Carlton have got to play one-on-one football. What are they doing? They're zoning off in a time when they need to be one-on-one. Allison has it. He goes back out towards the wing. And in this sort of situation, to have 5 or 6 uncontested marks is just unforgivable.
It's so surprising not to have seen the Blues press here. So Burns of his 30th possession, a game high. Aquay with the fly, Bytel, Campbell. They're conscious of not just kicking it in and turning it over, and Paris kicked it into centre field, but there was no way he could do anything about that. So we need the ultimate clearance from this stoppage here. Glass McCasker in the ruck with Murkoff off. Dow tumbles it along the line. Cripps just couldn't trap it. Connolly, careful ball along the line. Bytel had a look. It was touched. They keep it going. The Blues have stopped and run through this. Owens to Reardon. Wide off the line for Watson, who's got company in the form of Barson, the debutant. Watson, low to the ground, trying to use that centre of gravity. Barson did well to Aquay. To Radovanovic, just clear of the diving Heath. Has to be perfect here for the Blues. Radovanovic, gone.
Wow.
Huge call to the favour of McHale and the Zebras.
And that'll be 50 as well. Frustration for Radovanovic, who actually broke the tackle. Umpire deemed he had long enough to get rid of it. And that's an interesting one, BJ, because at the start of the season, and there's the 50.
You always do. There's a brain fade. I knew what it did. But it was a little bit stiff because I don't think...
Yeah, the tackle didn't actually retard him.
Correct. Or he wasn't in control of the tackle at all. So arguably it was for a short amount of time.
And Stefan will say, well, I did return it to him directly on the full, straight into his head.
Turned into an emoji in human form as he put his hands over his eyes, Radovanovic.
So a chance for Jack McHale to finish it right here.
It's the longest quarter we've had.
Welcome to the VFL. We've had 40 minutes. We never know when the siren's going to go, but surely it's about now. McHale to add some icing. It won't matter. Huge win here for Sandringham. They win 3 on the trot. They're knocking on the door of the top 4. Their 5th win of the season. They're shaping as a team to watch. On behalf of Nigel Carmody, Brendan Goddard, the entire production team here, thanks so much.